Welcome back to the Margins Podcast.
Welcome to the Margins Podcast, guys.
Where we do what?
We talk about books.
Okay. Once that start a conversation.
Leave a mark. Mm-hmm. Stay with you long after the last page.
One of these days we'll get the order right.
So we always swap the last two, but as long as we get those two, it's fine.
Yeah. I think we swapped the first two.
Did we?
Yeah.
That's all right. Our listeners know.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you guys for joining us. This week we have a great one for you. We love our author interviews. And honestly, I have to get a shout out early on this. One of my good friends, Dante, he read, he listened to All Things Undone via Audible, like I want to say 2 or 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. And I was at work and he had to call me. He's like, "Oh, have you checked this out yet? Have you checked this out yet?" I'm like, "No, I haven't heard about it." He's like, "Man, listen to it." And for us, we have a huge TBR. Like our TBR is on an Excel sheet. So I'm just like going through other books and he keeps messaging me like, "When are you going to do my book? When are you going to do my book?" And so I had told Stratton, I was like, "Yo, we should totally do this book." No, I didn't actually.
I told you, this guy.
He messaged you on. He DM'd you. Because he got tired of asking me, so he DM'd Stratton, and that's actually how the book hopped on. Yeah, it jumped.
So thank you, Dante.
Thank you, Dante.
For our audience today, our guest took a story from concept to podcast, from bold creative experiment to a Webby-winning audio series, and then expanded it to an Audible original without losing what it made it personal. One is the creator, writer, and voice of the center of All Things Undone. The other, producer, sound designer, and who helped shape the world, how it feels, breathes. Together, they built a story that lives in the intersection of history, speculative fiction, and audio craft. Today, we get to talk to them about the story, about the people behind it, how they work, how they collaborate, and what brought this to the world. Guys, today we join Chené Lawson, Peissig, and Joel Peissig.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know, that was exciting. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for joining us, of course. And they're joining us from Mexico.
Mexico.
Love it. A little bit jealous. Here. Don't get that opportunity that much.
Yeah. As always, we always do a check-in.
Yes.
We do typically a host check-in when it's just us, but we want to do around. So we'll do it first. But Cristiano, check-in. How are you doing this morning?
Chilling. My kids are great. Nuri had Saturday school, which she was mid-happy about, but it's all good. But we got her there, got here, so it's good.
Good.
What about you?
Caffeinated.
Love it.
Max decided that 3 a.m. was the time that he wanted to wake Rachel and I up. Mm-hmm. Not the best, but yeah, for that reason I got an Americano right before we got here, and I'm feeling it.
Is Max your kiddo?
How are you guys doing today?
Is that your child? Oh,
Yeah,
How old is he?
Yeah, he's our little 18-month-old.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's his job to wake you up that early.
Exactly. That's what I signed up for. No complaints here.
Yeah.
It would be weird if he didn't. Really.
Yeah. No, we don't have kids, but we have a dog, and she's 2 years old, and she wakes us up at 5:30 a.m. every day. So
Like
we
clockwork.
we walk her in the fields every day, and then we get our day started. But for me, I came
For parents
from a Zumba
all day.
class, so I'm like ready to go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's a Zumba class. They have it out in the park in the middle of our town, and so it's like this really great way to get up and just start the day. So yeah, I'm psyched right now. What'd you do?
I set up the interview.
Oh yeah, so that's what he did this morning.
I will say this is probably, since Tom does a podcast from one of the first authors we interviewed.
Yeah.
But as far as setup, you guys are just beautifully shot.
Because he has an office, and his office is super dark. And I'm like, why don't we go outside we have like a courtyard in between our house, in the middle of the house. And so I was like, I think we should do it out here. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah. Do
So
a little rapid fire?
Yeah. Just to break some ice. We love to do rapid fire. You don't have to go deep if you don't want to, but if you want to expose on your answers, no problem. No one's going to complain here. So I'll start that off. First rapid fire question. What's a book that you recommend most often, even when no one asks?
I love when no one asks. Who asked you?
Probably the N.K. Jemison's How Long Till Black Future Month. It's like a book, an anthology book of short stories, compilation of short stories.
Yeah.
But I just think it's really, I don't know. I think it's really great because I had never encountered stories like that because after a while, because I love sci-fi, I love fantasy, and after a while it feels like they use the same tropes. But she kind of just went to places that I had never gone before. And so she's really exciting and I think innovative, in my opinion. But yeah, I recommend that.
Well, you actually adapted two of those stories.
And then I adapted two of her stories into a podcast for
absolutely. I was not saving it, but I was planning on talking about that.
But that's
Absolutely.
not the only reason I would recommend
We also have.
It's really, I just think she's really creative.
Yeah, we have fifth season here too.
Oh.
Cristiano's
So you understand.
already read it. Yeah.
Yes, that and Obelisk Gate. I love her writing. It's super unique. She doesn't reuse a lot of the magical tropes that you see in sci-fi and fantasy. So it's great.
She hates time travel. Hates time travel. Yeah, a lot of story, but yeah. No time travel. But what about you?
Me, I would say it's probably The Gift by Hafez, the poetry. I recommend that all the time. It's served as a buoy in the crazy times for me, and I just love it. It just makes my mind spin. So that's probably the one I recommend the most these days.
In Station 11, you're reading.
Station 11. I finished that a couple months ago, and we just saw Emily St. John Mandel here at the Writers' Conference in San Miguel. And,
no way!
We saw the series way back.
Yeah, but the book is
different.
Yeah,
it's
you
really
find the
different.
book to be better.
And I was fascinated. I love the premise and the writing. And I lived in Traverse City for a little bit, so that was interesting as well. So yeah, probably those one or two. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, great.
All right. What was the last show you two binged together?
Pluribus one.
Pluribus.
I think everybody. There's a lot of people that don't like that show, but I don't know.
I was mesmerized.
I think readers or people that are into books kind of would love that show because it goes to places that you don't know where it's going to go. Are you familiar with Pluribus?
I'm familiar. I haven't watched it yet. It's been on my wife and I's TBR for a minute.
I'm not familiar, but I'll have to become acquainted now.
Vince, what's his
Gilligan?
name? From
Gilligan?
Yeah, from Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, and it's one giant question tool. I mean, you're always what's going? Why is this happening? And it just pulls you all the way through it. It's really, and working with so few devices, so few dialogue, it's really compelling. I thought.
Yeah, and he can do so much with so little. Sometimes he has whole episodes, just like in Breaking Bad, with just one person in it, and he's just going through the episode, doing their life, and you're like, what is going on? But it's fascinating to me.
And it brings up, I think it brings up, kind of like All Things Undone, it brings up a lot of issues about how we see our society, power structures, what our expectations of life versus someone else. It causes a conversation, which I love.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely gonna have to check it out. Yeah. What is a movie that you guys have rewatched more times than you care to admit? We all have them.
Joel is a cinephile, by the way. He's a book reader and a cinephile, and he loves story. And so he will just watch the same movie at least 50 times in a year.
Yeah,
but there's 5 of them.
This is your question.
For me, maybe The Shining. I constantly am going back and watching The Shining. I just love Stanley Kubrick's work, and I don't know. There's something about it because it's a scary movie, but it's not. In the knots and the teens, whatever this is, in the 2000s, from the turn of the century, scary movies became very explicit. But before then, in my opinion, in the 70s, they did things with a little bit more psychological you know? Anyway, I love it, and I'm constantly trying to figure out, what did he mean by this? What did that mean? What is that all about? And so I rewatch that a lot, just to pick up the nuances.
Yeah.
What about you?
What do I watch a lot? I guess it depends. With Nail and I, a very obscure. This is the weird one. I watch all the films repeatedly, like Dune, both Star Wars.
The Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, like the long version. But With Nail and I is my secret kind of one that I go to all the time. With Richard Grant, it was produced through George Harrison's production company, but it's a really quirky. How did they write this? How did they think this was a story kind of film? And that's the one I go to.
Yeah, I have to add that to the TV or to the movie TBR. Yeah,
he's the
list.
cinephile here. He's just this guy who's all things film.
Yeah.
So that's the weird one.
All right. You got the next one?
Yes. Okay. Music artists that you guys always go back to, no matter what decade we're in.
I don't know. So I like the Eagles from the 70s. I'm a 70s baby, so I like the Eagles. I don't know if you guys would know what that is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, I always go back to that or something from that era. Like, I don't know, I have a disco soundtrack that I listen to daily, and it's got, like, what's her name? That sings You Can Ring My Bell, Anita Ward. Like, old school, just old school music, because I just feel like, I don't know, they was really into some things that I really enjoy back in the 70s.
A lot more joy.
Yeah, and it was more musicality.
Yeah.
Way more musicality. Like, there was a song that Marvin Gaye or Barry White did, and he had a whole orchestra, like, playing for him, and it was like disco funk music, but they were like getting down on their violins. I'm like, this is fabulous. But stuff like that.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, now everything's synthesized, but you know.
Yeah, and you always question: is that real symphony or is that canned? Is that?
Yeah.
I think I go back to a lot. I guess Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah.
I go back to it a lot. I go back to Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin. I was working on a project the other day, and I was just plowing through Led Zeppelin. I'm like, why haven't I listened to this in a while? This is crazy.
But a lot of those groups, they got their roots from, R&B and from black music.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those people pulled from soul music.
Led Zeppelin, really, you think?
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Just
he
kidding.
did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess for me, it's that they both those bands definitely created worlds, like deep worlds. And I always love that when a band can create, if it's a world of joy or if it's this mysterious world or if it's a sonically just out there kind of. It seems like they become timeless.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love that. Let's go into some more. Yeah, we'll do one more.
Pick the best one.
The best
Pressure's
one.
on.
Pressure's on. Okay.
No pressure.
We'll keep it light. We're still an icebreaker.
Fine.
Since you guys are, you guys are big readers, cinephiles as well. What is a fictional world you would love to move into?
You're promised to survive.
Yeah, you'll survive
they're
this
all
world.
really freaking
Just to be clear.
I
I know. Well, especially as like a fantasy reader, I get like, well, you have to deal with X, Y, and Z while you're there. You
Yeah.
will survive.
So like the Lord of the Rings, right? I would like to live in that elf kingdom if nobody was going to come and fuck with us. If nobody was going to come and mess with us. I would love that. That would be fabulous.
Yeah, I think so. Well, since you said that, I would probably say Dune. Because it's kind of
beautiful.
It's a rebellious world. It's intriguing. It's a little bit of fantasy. It's a little bit of sci-fi altogether. It's dangerous as hell, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a different world. So
Yeah,
I think that would be a nice counterpart.
that's true.
Yeah.
The current Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not David Lynch's Dune.
Sorry.
Yeah, not David Lynch's. I did just Lord of the Rings. I just met Elijah Wood at the gas
Oh my
station.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was filling up gas. I looked over and he was walking with his kiddos into the gas station to grab. There's a pizza spot next to it, and I was like,
Frodo.
Frodo.
That's cool.
So crazy. LA.
So cool.
It's LA.
Yeah. So that wraps up our rapid fire. But I do want to say, for me, it's honestly, it's not the same as Dune, but I recently got into the Sun Eater series.
What is that?
This is, it's killing me. Christopher, I'm totally
Is it a
blanking.
book or is it a
Totally
movie?
blanking. It's a book. It's a series, and it's one of the deepest world building I've
Really?
ever seen in my life. Like it's like on book 6 or 7 now. We've crossed maybe like 800 years of time.
Where can we see it?
It's a book.
Oh, it's a book.
It's a book, so you can get it. You can get it anywhere, and it's also available on Audible. Let me give you guys the exact name of the author.
Sun Eater.
The Sun Eater series, yes, and the world building is amazing. Like,
Wow.
so yeah, this is by Christopher Rucchio. Hopefully, I'm saying that last name correctly. And so basically, the first book is Empire of Silence. And there's about 6 or 7 books. I think the newest one is coming out later this year, and that's gonna wrap up that series. But it's a very deep space odyssey.
wow.
Lots of different worlds. It's similar to Dune in that sense, where you get that there's a richness to the world that they built. But you guys should, Jeff, if you like Dune, you would absolutely like this series as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Empire of Silence.
Cristiano is
Really great
I
name.
know, I
Wow.
thought of that too.
It is.
That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Cristiano, we both do, but I know Cristiano specifically loves space odyssey,
Yeah.
space operas.
Yes.
He's actually writing
Oh,
one.
wow.
Writing one, it's taken forever, but
understand.
just trying to get the numbers right. That's what takes the longest with space odyssey
Right.
books.
Right.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
They never take, you don't write it over a weekend, these space odysseys, right? I mean, this is like decades, some of these guys. It's pretty amazing.
Exactly. And then for me, like, I've restarted probably 3 times.
wow.
Where I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm writing, this is great. And then like 2 months later, I'm like, I hate this. I don't know what I was
Yeah, yeah.
thinking. So,
I know what
it's all right.
What's the saying?
I do
Writing
that-
is rewriting, as torturous as that is.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm sure you. I'm sure you do. I do that with shorts. I'm like, do I really want to play this out this way? But that's why we're here today, because we
Yes.
also want to pick your brain, because you've done the work. We've seen the work. We love the
you.
work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So with that, let's get into it.
Let's jump in.
So audience, you guys, we want you guys to experience All Things Undone. So if you haven't heard it, or if you haven't listened to it, go to Audible now. Check it out. And if you don't mind spoilers, stick around.
Yeah, please
Stick
do.
around. Alrighty. So, first question,
Yes.
Chené. You trained in comedy.
Yes.
You've trained in many things, but comedy at the Groundlings. And in comedy and performance before creating All Things Undone, how did that background shape how you think about pacing, character, voice, and how did it help you move into speculative storytelling?
Well, I just know, for those that may not know what the Groundlings is, it's like an improv sketch writing theater, and it's basically the training ground for people that want to get into SNL. I never really wanted to get into SNL, but I really liked characters. And so basically, I think I just really honed in on what I learned primarily from that school was not just how to ground my characters and make them real instead of caricatures, but also point of view. Point of view is like the most important thing when you're writing like a 4-minute sketch. You have to have a really strong point of view for each one of your characters. And I think I pulled that, like the whole idea of that, into building the characters for this particular show, All Things Undone, because it just had to be like really like if she was afraid, she had to be really afraid and afraid of everything. If she didn't trust, she couldn't trust anything. Like I had to push it further and further and further. And so I think doing that and having studied under the director for my particular, it's not a grade, but for my particular class, I belonged to this thing called the Sunday Company, and I had a director, and he was,
Oh yeah,
his
absolutely.
name was Jim Rash, and he wrote like The Descendants. Is that what it was called? The Descendants, which actually won an Oscar. And so he was like a really good screenwriter. And so I was constantly trying to pull his like brain and figure out, okay, how do you do this? Well, how do you do that? So that I wasn't just sketch writing, I was also kind of under the tutelage of this really great writer who I really wanted to like, you know, find out how do you become a better script writer. So yeah, and that way I pulled from the groundlings. So
I love that because I felt that with Maribel. So because there's times where a lot of times your protagonist will make decisions and you're like, but we see that you shouldn't do that, or we see that, like, you know, this or that. But when they're especially how you say, if that's what they know, if that's what their decision is, they're gonna stick with that, you know, day in and day out. It makes the most sense, you know, because they aren't, you know, they are biased. It is their feelings. It is their emotions.
you kind of have to stick
But
with it.
I love that.
So I guess this next question is for both of you guys. You guys kind of built this together, right? How did your collaboration actually work in practice, especially early on when the story was still finding its form?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you
So
were inspired.
Yeah. I watched this movie called The Badlands. You guys may or may not know. Badlands, Terrence Malick, 70s again. Sissy Spacek, what's his name? Martin Sheen. Anyway, I just thought it was phenomenal because it had this great voiceover that was over everything that was happening with these beautiful vignettes, but it was a great voiceover. And I was like, I feel like I want to take that voiceover and make her a black girl because she was Southern. And so I took that and then came up with this concept, which is what if black people couldn't have been killed during the time of slavery? And then I wanted to like figure out, okay, what would that look like the first episode and the second episode? So I was off on my own creating those episodes.
Yes.
And then I was like, Joel, what do you think we could do with this?
Yeah, Chené came to me with this, you know, this rather large idea, and I had been in advertising for years and a commercial director for a long time, and worked with Ridley Scott and all these things, and so I felt pretty confident in my story feedback, and so I gave her some feedback, but we actually put the series, we collaborated in the way that she would bring this to me. I'm like, well, what about this happen, or what about this happen? And we would just kind of, you know, bat the ball across the net. But she had the original premise, and then I just started adding to that world. I'm like, you know,
I think he's a really good world builder, like you were talking about earlier. I don't think I really necessarily think of the world. I think of characters, and it's probably because of my groundlings thing. It's just character. And he was like, all right, what if the whole world changed? And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like Mississippi wasn't going to be Mississippi anymore.
Yeah, I wanted, you know, she was like, the DNA, you know, changes these people. I'm like, what if, you know, suddenly civilizations push through the ground, and suddenly we start sneaking peeks at animals that are maybe mythical or maybe, you know, historical, you know, and suddenly we kind of wash the planet. And that, I guess, our relationship to your question is you were really in charge and of character building.
Yes.
I was more like pushing the world bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Because originally we thought of it as like Deadwood, like a little town.
Like it was all going to stay in one place, but then your acting or your writing coach.
I had a writing coach at the time, and he was like, "Oh no, you need to get off the plantation as soon as possible." I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
Yeah.
And so we just blew open the world, and it really kind of scared us. We're like, oh my god, this has just become enormous. But we kept going. So I guess that answers the question.
It worked. It worked well.
Yeah.
You guys did a great
Oh,
job.
thank you.
I think we both had the same note too. I'm glad you said that because we both had a feeling. I think we started, and then got with kids, with work, with everything, and we were both like, okay, so I have a pretty good idea of what this is going to be, and then just dumbfounded at where it went. And we're like, oh, we thought it was going to be but on the plantation most of the time. It was going to be this thing, and then it wasn't at all. It took us for a ride.
I definitely thought, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a regular Antebellum South kind of storyline here, no problem. And because we always call each other like whenever something happens, we're like, okay, yeah, well, so this is the point that we're at.
Yeah.
And at that point, we were both the same like section, and then like I think literally the next day, we're like, oh, that went completely different direction.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. I guess we didn't want to make it like, I don't want it to make it about black pain, right? So I had to keep it there just to establish what was happening the first episode. But after the second, I was like, let's just get off the plantation and go.
Yeah.
Because I wanted them to be empowered. Like, this is an empowerment story, right?
That was what we were getting at.
Yeah.
And, not to get ahead of ourselves, but that was it. We didn't want to step and stay in all those pain kind of tropes. We wanted to break the world open and say this is possible.
Yes.
Right. In terms of unshackling of your mind, as well as the physical unshackling of what they lived in.
I love that. I mean, for me, it was the first time that I've seen anyone do kind of like a retelling in this way of that era, the slavery era. We've seen your Lovecraft countries and stuff like that, segregation era, but this goes even further back, which I really enjoyed. I thought it had something to add to that zeitgeist, so that was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
When did you guys have the thought or the impression that it could become something what it's become as far as making it multi-episode? Was that like from the beginning the idea?
Well, the original idea, we thought we could make a short film. Like, I was like, oh, we could make this into a short film and pitch it so that it can become a film. And I ended up pitching it to a few production companies, and they're like, it's just going to be too expensive because it's a period piece.
Yeah. And the short film was more, again, a way of selling a bigger vision, right? And so we decided to go, let's do a podcast because, I had loads of friends that were editors and sound designers and I thought we can get that done. We can use that as a pitching device for a series. We didn't really, at that point, I think we had 3 episodes, 2 in the can, 1 writing still.
Yeah.
And then
2020 happened.
Yeah, and then, first George Floyd happened, and that's when it exploded on the podcast. When we were just kind of putting it out as an experiment, to your point.
No, what happened was 2020 happened. We're like, oh my God, we don't have anybody to, everybody was not working. And so I forced Joel to edit it. I was like, you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, so suddenly we had a ton of time on our hands.
Yes. And you learned.
And I was like, well, we have all these recordings of all these amazing actors. I guess I got time. I mean, I'm not doing anything, so I learned audition. I learned really kind of a lot about sound design. I took on being the music supervisor, like sourcing music. And I had composer friends that were sending me some tracks. Like the main theme is a friend of mine who composed that theme. So we were, God given us time to build it all, learn it all, build it all.
Figure out how to do it ourselves.
We put it out there. George Floyd happened
And then
at
George
the
Floyd happened.
same time.
The same week.
We started putting ads out. So, back to your point, I don't think we actually envisioned it going, we'd love it to, but it wasn't until, I think, Steve Audible called and said, we'd like to kind of pay for the rest of the series because we're dying over here. And that's when we were like, oh, I guess,
we could do this.
We could actually do this. So we were like, okay, let's strap in and let's finish up the next 10 episodes. Really, at that point, they only heard the first 2 episodes, so they contacted us only after the first 2 episodes. We released 2 more, and then we went on and
they're like, stop making episodes. We will pay you to finish the series.
and then Chené went deep and came back after some while with 10 more episodes, 12 more episodes. Yeah. So.
Does that answer your question?
I don't know if that's a roundabout way.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted. Yeah.
So next question, Chené, you didn't just write Maribel; you also voiced her. What did that add emotionally to the story? What did it demand from you as a performer?
Well, first off, having to write her, because, I don't know. I don't know how other people write, but I always write like personal, whatever's personal to me. And I was like, all right, then I have to put myself into this character. And so that in and of itself was a form of catharsis, because like I have trust issues. Let me give them to her. And now she's got to work them out. And so that way it was cathartic. But I also knew it was really interesting when you write for something that you're going to portray, because you know exactly why you wrote it like that and where you want this character to go. And so, I don't know, it's just very cathartic for me. Extremely cathartic.
Right. And you had a vision of how much pain things should cost, right? It's like you, when certain things would happen, you felt like, oh, this is too much or this is too little.
Yeah.
You had a very a sensitive foot on a race,
And I knew where I wanted her to have like her, because every character has to have a point where they're like, either you're going to change or you're going to go back to being the same person.
Right.
And I knew where I wanted her to have these climaxes of like breakthrough.
But in terms of voicing, you knew how to reveal that and how to build that.
The nuances.
Nuances. You didn't have to express that to an actor. It was inside you.
True.
Yeah.
True.
That was literally what I was going to say. There was no back and forth between, writer or director and the actors. And well, no. What I actually wanted was, or if you could.
Yeah, I have a habit of overly directing at some point.
It's all good.
But you also, when we would record the other actors, Chené would read against them.
Yeah.
Right? Because all the actors are recorded individually. You don't have a whole cast of people looking at each other. And they're not even on,
We were on Zoom.
We were on Zoom, but we don't have the whole cast on Zoom. It was one at a time. So that was for you to be able to read as a character against every single character, honed your performance, but also helped their performance.
I hope so.
Right?
Yeah, I think
so.
it did.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Joel, when you approach this project, so I understand from what you already shared about, taking on sound design and sound, the score and everything. How early does sound design enter the creative conversation? How does it shape the world before listeners even realize it?
Well, since we were working on the script together, we were like, it should be raining when the people come up to the house and ask for food, right? So rain, it should be, when Samuel and Lion were target practicing, it should be windy. They should be on an overlook waiting for news from. So that was, like any book, I guess, we tried to put that in early.
Yeah, but you even said you would hear it while I was
Yeah.
When you would read the script, you would be like, okay, I know exactly where I need to go with it.
Right, and I would change channels. I'm like, is it sunny? Are we at, I would try to kind of, the way I have always created is I have to see it. I have to see the scene in my head. Even if I just have dialogue, I have to see the scene. I want to see, it's an old house. The windows aren't, if you listen closely, there's moments where I made wind outside the house and the windows are all kind of open, so the house itself is like a flute. You hear the wind push through. I would when I would read, I would hear that or I would feel that, and and I would make notes through the script on this is what needs to happen here, this is what needs to happen here. But it wasn't. It really came out of the story. It wasn't like an aesthetic. It was more of like, what do we need right now? Mm-hmm. Do we need silence right now? Do we need a wind blowing? Do we need to hear footsteps? So it came right out of the story before I sat down, I would say.
How do you decide where silence like plays? Because it's such a powerful role. Mm-hmm. In anything. I mean, silence in a sale is a big role where it's just like first one who talks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in storytelling specifically.
Silence. I think we had talked about silence when Lion walks into the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So there's a scene where one of the protagonists walks into he's like this, I don't know. He's a formerly enslaved black man who now has all the power, and he walks into the saloon where the no longer in charge sheriff is sitting.
A bunch of white folks, powerless white folks.
Yes.
He walks into like essentially an all-white bar of powerless white folks who are kind of pissed, and a lot of them are drunk because they can't handle it. And I I initially had it kind of carousing, and Chené was like, I think it should be fucking silent when he walks in.
Yeah.
He blows those doors open and everyone's like, and so we collaborated on that as well. But
in that way, silence was more powerful, just hearing the footsteps.
Right.
Walking.
The creaking of it. And when I say silence, you hear like mumbling and whispering. It's never completely silent because that sounds broke. Like something's not right. But
yeah, because then you check your phone and is it playing?
So the creaking. I spent loads of time on footsteps, and I would consider that silent. When you just hear footsteps, that's silent for me. Or when you just hear, like the saying goes, crickets. That's silence. That's as silent as I got, and I use that as a tool to build tension. Again and again and again, even as a contrast to like when spoiler, when they jump the train, and that just becomes a cacophonous bunch of sound. But then when they jump off the train and it's just wind, those tools are built in emotionally. And honestly, sound design is the only production design you have in audio, right? And so silence plays as much of as a role, and if not more, than bombastic. And I chose silence more as an emotional tool than an aesthetic, I guess would be a way to say it.
Yeah, it definitely worked. And one of the more memorable scenes for me was when they're at the mountain and they dropped the medallion, right? And they're trying to get in, and they feel the hands pulling them through the mountain, and then it's kind of like silent, and you just from like how their voices reverberate, I was like, oh, it's dark. They can't see anything, and then they say it. So like the sound definitely plays a huge part in like the imagining of the storytelling.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoyed that.
You get it.
Yes. So I guess the next one's still bookish, but also like querying on like your creative side. This is a historical reimagining, right? And they always carry some kind of responsibility. Did you guys do any research to engage this? I'm sure that you did, but I just wanted to kind of get your point of view on the research that went into this.
Well, I mean, are you asking in terms of technology or just in terms of
period?
No, honestly, even in terms of, it could be technology, but I'm more interested in like the lore, like that kind of stuff, because I'm kind of always looking at, like, for example, this is a similar but not the same example, but after I watched Lovecraft Country, I was like, there's so much things that happen here. I have to go on Google and figure out what did I miss. And so I'm learning about things that happened, in that time that I just wouldn't have caught if I didn't have, Google.
Right.
Yeah.
So, now we have you guys here. I wanted to get like an idea, like how'd you come up with, honestly, like the lore and like all the spiritual stuff that was going on, and where do you guys pull from? Is this something that you guys research and like, oh, I want to utilize this? I know obviously like the ancestors is a huge thing, but I just kind of want to get an idea of how and the creative process, what you guys left out, what what made the cut.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of the South, in terms of that, as one of the characters says, the Cotton Kingdom, which is something that we found in history. I did a lot of research on just how they saw themselves, how the community saw themselves, how the environment or the plantations related, to the point of I investigated trains. I was like, okay, if we're going to put a train in this, what kind of train do they have at this time? And they're pretty primitive trains, but the whole train, the majority of the train system was connecting for cotton. The networks were all around in the South to haul cotton to mills, and it was a major tool for them. But it was a very primitive thing, and it was very new. So that was a part of our research.
But also we studied like what are the weapons, what kind of weapons would they use. But if you want to get back onto like the folklore and stuff, that was African folklore. And I read a bunch of African folklore, but then I tried to figure out, what is the great traditions, like African and African American traditions. It's all oral because we didn't have books at that time. And so they had to keep passing on like history orally. And so that's why they always had what was deemed like a sage or like a wisdom keeper.
Right.
Within the group was like, okay, this is where we came from. This is how things happen. This is what's going. These are your traditions
Right.
from back in Africa.
Right.
And so I was like, how can we use that, especially in the sage character that was Tilly? Like she had to be the
Yes.
wisdom
Yes.
keeper, and she had to keep being able to tell them the stories and pass
Right.
them down. And so in that way,
When we studied the Chinese role in that
Oh, yeah,
time
we
period,
did. We
we
did.
studied Aztecan beliefs and folklore. That's where one of our creatures that
the one that turns into a thunderbird.
Thunderbird. The Thunderbird came from Aztec, because we were really trying to show the world before.
Yeah.
The world when it was Turtle Island. When it was before the empire, the colonization, and I really wanted to bring those up. I investigated different ruins throughout the South. Like lost civilizations throughout the South, trying to track them down and exactly where they were. We looked at the geography of that area, and if it was going to become a different planet, what would that mean?
Yeah, what would come out from under the surface?
Right.
Like what would be buried there?
Yeah, and I even going into geological kind of plates, where the plates would shift, and so that was a lot of work. That paid off. I think we try to kind of have that seep in different instances.
Yeah, because you want it to you want the jumping point to actually be organic and true, but you want to be able to explore once you leave that jumping point, but at least make the foundation true.
Right. Because I always think that truth is stranger than fiction, and if you can do some research, that will throttle your fiction. That will really make your fiction more tied and founded. To the point of after we came up with the eclipse idea, we were doing some research and we came upon.
Because we were trying to figure out like who should Mirabelle's father be, and at one point I was like, well, why wouldn't her father be Nate Turner? But then we were told you can't use like real people.
We were advised.
We were advised that we shouldn't use real people. However, when I did my research on Nate Turner, I found out that Nate Turner, he was a prophet and a priest, in my opinion.
And a soldier, yeah.
Yeah, from back in the day, and he was enslaved. And he said that he looked up one night and saw an eclipse in the sky, and he thought that meant blackness stomping out whiteness, and he took that as a sign
For his
to
rebellion.
revolt.
Yeah.
And so he gathered all these people and they revolted. And I was like,
We were like, what's going on? You know, this is crazy.
that was going to be, if she was going to have a father, it would be somebody like him.
Yeah. So that was kind of our secret little motivator.
Yeah.
That's Mirabelle's secret father that we kind of put to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still there for maybe
For us.
sequels.
I love that. It was actually a comment that I made to Cristiano after listening. Was I felt you guys did such a great job of honoring obviously Black history, but also because you dealt with. It's called the Margins Podcast because obviously we are both from marginalized groups and all of that. But I felt like, you know, when you brought in those from Asia, those indigenous to the Americas, the Aztecs, I was just like, I feel like I even asked Cristiano, I was like, I feel like they did their research on all this. Like, it didn't feel like, oh, let's just throw someone in and
felt
do
very
whatever.
authentic.
It felt super
Well, you
That's
did
grounded.
research into
Choctaw.
Choctaw
Yeah.
language.
We had to figure out, we
we-
called the Choctaw
tribe.
Association and said, can you give us some information? Like, how can we keep this as true to your culture as possible?
Yeah, we have some sensitivity. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
is there anything here that would offend you? That anything that
Yeah.
you can add to that would bless your portrayal?
And even the actress that portrayed the Choctaw woman, she was like, I don't think that this would happen because they're not a violent people.
They
I'm
don't
like,
have a word for this.
So
Right.
let's not do that then.
Yeah,
Like, we were trying to be as...
Honor.
Yeah.
trying to honor them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were there any kind of I don't know, because we had a recent author interview and he was just saying like, when I write I'm just kind of, you know, I'm just going, I'm writing and I think about everything else later. Were there any kind of like conversations you guys were trying to spark with this idea that you put out? That was one of the things that me and him spoke about like right after we read it, we finished going through. We were like, there's a lot to unpack here. Like if you wanted there to be larger conversations, so that's definitely one of the things I wanted to ask. Was there like larger conversations that you guys wanted this to kind of like push people into and put in front of
Yeah.
people, put to the
So,
forefront?
you know, it was written over the last 5 years, right?
So,
5 or 7 years
Yeah.
during all this stuff that's going on in the world. And so I just treated it as if it was like, what's it called? An analogy? Or what's the word that I'm looking for?
a metaphor? Or?
A metaphor for current day. I'm like, okay, how can we infuse that into some of these stories? And so, yeah, there's a point, right, where she's walking, Mirabelle and her family are walking through a field, and then she sees all of these other, I guess, northerners kind of taking all of the no longer slave patrol people away. And she's like, well, what are you guys doing? And the guy says, well, we don't agree with their stance, and so we're trying to tell them they have a choice. They could either stay here and get used to the situation where they no longer have power, or they can come with us and we can put them in prison. And to me, that was like a whole take on, all right, there's certain people who do not like racism, and there's certain people who wish that we could keep things the way that they were back in the, I don't know, in the good
It was great.
yeah, in those days.
Yeah.
And so, how are those people going to react to this? And if they are our allies, how would they move forward in this new world? And so, I was always trying to play around with those, you know, little tropes in there.
I mean, just to say it, our society is run by white supremacy, and it's indoctrinated very, very deeply in all of us, and it's also run with violence. And we were thinking, well, if you took away the violence, where would we be? You know, and who would? I mean, this whole indoctrination that, you know, psychotic, you know, overly funded white people rule the world. We tend to call them elite, which I have no idea why. But they rule the world, and they rule the world through force and through violence. And if we could change that, if we could take that away and say, okay, now if you don't have that ability to be violent to make your case for you're the rulers, what would that world look like, and
how
would you
quickly-
feel, and even to the people that they've oppressed, suddenly it's like your mind goes, good, I'm still working through this
Ideology.
that I'm supposed to be enslaved and I'm supposed to be poor and I can't rule because I'm poor. So a lot of that, like you said, there's a lot to to
Because
talk
even
about.
there's like a character, Lion, he was enslaved and he was badly treated throughout his entire life. So all he's got left is revenge. But just because he's free doesn't mean he's mentally free. And I wanted to explore that because even if one day we do have all the power, if we become like the monsters that created us, then we're monsters, And I wanted to explore that as well.
And then we had a lot of discussions about creating that, because it's like, okay, if suddenly they can't die, we had to come up with the idea that, okay, if a whole mechanism, right? So if you are suddenly have power and you go off and hang and destroy, and you should be diminished, because that's not what the power was about, right? That's not what you were supposed to gain from this.
Yeah.
It was a whole mechanism, a whole rules of the world that we had to put in place, because we were trying to kind of put up this hypothesis of, how can things be better? The promise, the possibility of a world not run by violence. And at that time, with George Floyd and all the other men, black and brown, brothers and sisters that were being slaughtered by white men in power, that was something to really play with, and I still, even more so today, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that nuance to that power was a beautiful aspect that I thought was one of the key factors that made this story so unique.
Right.
Because as soon as that is revealed and it's used, it was just like, oh wow, this isn't just okay, now you get the hammer.
Yeah.
Now you get to inflict pain.
We missed the point altogether.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what did you have?
No, I mean, I can go forever with this. I like
know,
the
me
source
too.
material. So, but we do appreciate your time. We want to respect your time. So just to kind of wrap things up, for our listeners, you guys can check this out obviously Audible. It's Audible original. There's lots of love here. If you're not super acquainted with like these kind of stories, this kind of speculative historical fiction, you can just get into the characters. That's you don't have to kind of know so much, and you don't have to dive too deep into that part. But the story will carry you through. The characters will carry you through. And honestly, I always say this: it's not long for you guys. If you guys have kids, you got work, you can pop it on, listen to it. It's not super long. It's something that you can listen to in between time to still get through in a good amount of time.
And it's such an immersive experience.
Yeah.
Due to these two, just both the beautiful writing, the sound, you feel as though you are right there with them throughout, because of the sound quality, because of the conversations that it's pushing, and then the thoughts that are being provoked throughout. So it's one that I have not stopped thinking about the aspects. Obviously, we had many questions. We didn't get to them all.
Yes.
But we definitely are so happy that you guys were able to join us
Thank
today.
you.
Yeah, we'll be looking out for new stuff. If you guys have anything else coming out, we'll definitely be looking for it.
We have a couple things coming out, and we'll let you know, definitely. We were just
Awesome.
talking about the sequel the other day, and building on that sequel. But one thing I know, a lot of people in this time don't have a lot of money to kind of splurge on a podcast on Audible. The first 4 episodes is still on Apple, and it's free there.
Yes.
So you can get a definite taste
Yes.
of what the world is like without getting deep into Audible.
Awesome.
There we go.
Well, definitely, we'll make sure to have a link for the Apple version, as well as the Audible, and
then we also have
like a free trial thing that they can do with for
that's
Audible.
great.
We
Yeah,
have a
that's
link
great.
that allow them to have
Not to say that the whole thing isn't worth
that way
it.
they can listen to the whole thing.
But it's a
worth
good,
it.
very much.
it's a good
Once you
trailer.
guys get a taste,
Well, thank you guys for having
All
us.
right, you guys. Well,
Yeah, it's really nice.
of course. Thanks for joining
Yeah.
us.
Pleasure, real pleasure.
You guys out there, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Margins Podcast. Once again, we really wanted to take some time to focus on Black creators and the worlds they're building and what they have to add to the literary zeitgeist. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Chené. Thank you, Joel. You guys have been great.
yeah. Thank you,
Thank you so much.
and we will go ahead and see y'all.
Likewise.
See y'all soon on whatever comes next. We are there for it.
Yes.
Awesome.
We are there
Keep
for
it
it.
posted.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
And then to our Margins podcast audience.
Peace.